From a new reimagined ride to one being brought back from the depths, and from reliability issues to rides looking insanely worn out, 2023 has seriously been a rollercoaster of a year for Alton Towers. Pun intended. We've seen a fair share of positives and negatives to do with the season that's just gone, although a lot of them in the enthusiast community sway towards one side because people are actually labelling 2023 as one of the worst seasons at Alton Towers ever. It's a bit harsh, don't you think, lads? So with everything up in the air at the moment about the park's future and the fact that the close season has just arrived, I thought it'd be interesting to have a look and discuss, was 2023 a bad year for Alton Towers? The simple answer is yes, but also no. So there's no simple answer. I'm an idiot. Once you've seen my opinions, feel free to leave below what you think. And also make sure you subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Obviously, so much has happened over the course of the 2023 season at Alton Towers. So to dive head first and sort of go into everything all at once would be a stupid idea. And me 2 weeks ago making this video probably would have done that. So I've actually graduated as a more serious person now. No more jokes. No more. I'm only joking. I'm basically going to section this up into different categories. They'll cover different aspects such as the new additions and the sort of ride lineups and operations, food, events, you name it, it's going to be in this video. I'm going to talk about them in the general consensus of the enthusiast population and of course give my opinions on certain things as well and what we could potentially see to sort these things in the future. And there's actually a lot more positives than I originally thought, so let's talk about that. Of course, a very big part of any theme park in the UK or anywhere worldwide is the ride lineup. If you don't have rides in a theme park, it's just a park, really. And I mainly wanted to talk about this part purely because of that massive gap that has now formed since the end of 2022. That being the loss of Nemesis. Now you could probably ask anyone who's visited Towers this year and ask them what they thought of the park, especially Forbidden Valley. What did you think of it? And what they'll say is, yeah, it's really cool seeing this complex beast become a bigger monster. But it's just felt like such a hole in the ride lineup not having it there. We're just viewing it from a metal shed box instead. Hello, Nemesis. And yes, it has been a major gap in the park this year, but of course it is reopening next year as a brand new sort of amalgamation of tracks. You can't complain too much about that because Towers really could have said goodnight Nemesis for the last time and never reopened it. So we got to be thankful for it reopening. And you know what else we have to be thankful for? 2 new attractions that opened this year. I say new, but they're sort of reimagined. Of course, them 2 being the Scary Haunted Doll's House the Ride and Egg Museum. And both of them were such welcome additions for this year. I think Curse at Alton Manor is genuinely one of the best rides at the resort. And it might even be the best dark ride in the UK, although I'm not entirely sure on that one. Valhalla? I'm looking at you. Why making it so difficult? And what you also have to appreciate about Curse is the fact that they keep adding things to it. They're adding new scenes, new effects all the time throughout the entire season. And of course, us enthusiasts love that. We love it so much. The other, of course, being Nemesis Subterra. That returned as well, and it's basically the same as before, but it gave a chance for the people that didn't ride it years ago to ride it now. And I come under that because when I visited Towers when I was younger and it was open, I was too much of a wuss. I was so scared of it. And on top of that, I'm going to make it short and sweet because I really couldn't care less about this ride. Twistertron, the brand new Retro Squad ride that was introduced this year, right at the beginning of the season, and I think it had 1 video made on it, and that was all that was said. On the bright side, it did make up some capacity down in X Sector because all there was Spin Jam and the 2 coasters, and now there's a fun fair at the bottom. But you know what, as much as I wasn't a fan of Twistertron, it's still a ride, so we'll take it. And I'm glad those 3 were added, although I'm not glad that some were closed. This may be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, complaint about the season at Alton Towers in 2023. Ride availability. Now, the majority of the time when I visited, actually, I got quite lucky and the sort of downtime wasn't too bad, although I'm pretty sure one time Oblivion opened at about 4 PM. Either way, it's obvious at theme parks that there will be downtime on rides and certain rides will close for a little bit and they'll come back open, but it's happened a lot more than normal this year, and it's so strange. And it's also really sad because the park used to be really good with operations. You used to look at the likes of Thorpe Park when they ran Colossus on 1 train and used to laugh at them, the laughing stock. But now it feels like whilst other parks in the UK are sort of going up in the operations department, Alton Towers just seems to be declining. And that doesn't just mean the rides that may be closed on a certain day or closed for a few hours. It also means the rides that are closed for the whole year, because Hex, the Legend of the Towers, and the Skyride have both been shut pretty much all season. And yes, we can assume that Hex was having the same problems as it always has done for the past few years, and the Skyride as well, that must be having major problems. But it is sad seeing one of the best dark rides in the UK, and also one of the only means of transportation around a massive resort that is so helpful for accessibility, etc. Having that closed is quite a big mishap. I know management have said that they will be reopening them both next year, which is obviously a great thing. But fingers crossed they stick to that, because you never know with Merlin. They might not. Now, I did vaguely mention this category earlier on in the video, but let's talk about ride upkeep. Why is Galactica looking like it's standing but not operating all the time? Keeping rides well presented is obviously a massive thing when it comes to presenting your rides well, and as much as there's a lot of people talking about pretty much every coaster on park having something wrong with it, the major two in particular are the Smiler and Galactica, because the upkeep on them is horrific. There's mold building up on the buildings and the track. The theming and track colour is all discoloured, and it's not even like the original colour that these things started with. You know, the Smiler was actually bright yellow before it faded to black. But yeah, I've mentioned it previously, but some of these rides genuinely seem like towers just don't care about them anymore. So hopefully, if we've seen stuff like Curse get expanded on, which I know is a dark ride, so it's a bit different, but if they're keeping on top of new rides like that, and maybe they'll do the same for Nemesis, hopefully, especially because management again have said that they want to go around and jet wash and clean all of these different rides over the next few years, I pray from here we start seeing the upkeep improve. Obviously, I've seen a few people expecting them to clean up every single ride and repaint every single ride, and you know, we're not in real life sandbox mode. That might be difficult. Not the strongest point of their year either. The food. If you don't know, the food at Alton Towers was taken over by Aramark, which is an external company, and just, anything's up from there. Some of the prices of the food compared to the quality of the actual portions given is horrendous. But that being said, there are actually still a good few food outlets at the park. In my eyes, you've got Woodcutters, the roller coaster restaurant even, there's a loaded fries place opposite Blade, and of course, my beloved Freak Shake place opposite Curses Alton Manor. Let's see more of that, thanks. I just want more milkshake places at Towers, please. But that selection I just mentioned, they're decent, solid places to eat. It's just the other 60 to 70% of places to eat there are trash, but I don't think that'll change over the next few years. Oh, events. That's an interesting one, you know, because, well, first of all, I don't really talk about events on this channel. Hello, but mainly because this is actually a really tricky one to sort of delve into. Because at the start of the year, we had the absolute corker of an event, the Smiler Takeover. Oh, what a time to be alive. It was not very good. Beyond that, we had Mardi Gras, which was great. Summer of Fun, which wasn't even advertised, but that was really good as well. Oktoberfest was a lot of fun, as always. And Scarefest, of course, saw Daz Games Panic and Burial Grounds added, and a few other things as well. And if they continue going with Scarefest as they did this year, sort of building it up slowly, maybe next year we'll see it even bigger. And I completely forgot, if you go past Scarefest, you've then got Fireworks and Christmas. Fireworks was amazing. It's always a good way to end off the season. And then Christmas, I've never been. I'll go this year. What is in store at the Alton Towers Resort and Spa in the future? Well, we know Nemesis is returning, of course. That's going to be an absolutely insane ride to have back. The Retro Squad, which was probably the biggest complaint of a ride installation Alton Towers have ever seen, they're obviously leaving to eventually be replaced by permanent flat rides somewhere along the timeline. Hex and the Skyride are supposed to be reopening, and of course Project Horizon should follow the year after, hopefully. God forbid it's been delayed. Either way, you can say as much as you want about the park being not so great this year, but I do think they know what the issues are and they're going to make up for it next year. 2023 has almost been a sort of build-up year for the better years to come. Just make sure you bring in a permanent version of Spin Jam. I'd be so happy with that. What did you think of the 2023 season? And I don't really need to ask this, but why and how do you know that 2024 is going to be way better? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below and make sure you subscribe. Goodbye now.